Hi guys, and welcome to Eat, Move, Empower. Now, this is your very first video of the series, and in this week's series, we're going to focus solely on eat. So everything around food, nutrition, and what it can do for you, and how it can benefit you, and how you can use it. So in this section, there will be a task at the end, so make sure you watch the video till the end. It won't go on for too long, so don't worry too much about that. But we are going to cover some very common topics. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to cover throughout this week, first up, the aims for the segment on eat. We want you to be able to understand energy balance. Okay, so that's going to be vitally important whenever you're looking to lose weight, gain weight, or stay the same. It always comes down to energy balance. One of the biggest barriers that we have seen when we are dealing with clients in our Fortified 8 transformation program is that they have an all or nothing mindset or a fuck it mindset. So they'll essentially have a biscuit or they'll have something that they don't think is on plan or is bad food, and they'll kind of throw the towel in. They'll decide to eat everything else, and then essentially after that point, then they've really made some damage. So we want to deal with the all or nothing mindset, the fuck it mindset, and help you get over those barriers that you face with that. And then finally, throughout this week, we also want to help you understand the scales more. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about the scales. We know how difficult it is when you feel like you've been good all week, when you've ticked all the boxes, when you've done everything right. You get on the scales and nothing happens. You stay the same, you gain weight, or maybe you even lose a little bit of weight, but it isn't the number you were hoping for. So we want you to be able to understand the scales and put yourself in a position where you can think logically when you do get on the scales. So then, one of the biggest things with nutrition is that it is for more than just weight loss. So most people use food to diet. So when we want to diet, we cut down on what we eat, we cut down on the junk food, and we focus on trying to lose weight. But nutrition is about so much more than that. It is about health. So health always has to be the main priority with everything you do when it comes to health and fitness. And then your goals kind of come secondary to that. But health always has to be the primary focus. So when we work with clients, health is what we work on first, and then we work on fat loss, muscle gain, whatever. But health is always, always, always deep rooted into what we do, because you can't ever achieve anything without being healthy. Now, when we talk about health, health is kind of multifaceted. So health doesn't just mean how you look. It's also your mental health, your social health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and a few other things, okay? So a lot of components. And if ever you neglect any one of those, then the others tend to suffer as well. So for instance, if you diet and you stop going to see your friends because they like a glass of wine with a meal, or you don't go to a party, your social health will suffer. And overall, you probably won't be able to get the end result you want if you neglect any one of those things. Okay, so we want to teach you and help you deal with that as well. So it's not just about weight loss; it is about everything. We are going to show you how to deal with nutrient dense versus, or show you what nutrient dense foods are versus calorie dense foods. So we're going to come on to that section soon, and also talk about mental and social health. Okay, so calories and your goals, it's all about energy balance. So food in versus food out, or calories in versus calories out. So essentially, what you eat versus what you burn. So if we look at the graph in the middle, and hopefully you can see my mouse moving there, you'll see that if your weight stays the same, that means the amount of calories you're taking in are the same as the amount of calories you're burning. Now, this is the number one rule. It's the number one law: calories in versus calories out. Even if you don't track calories, it simply means if you're eating a certain amount and you're burning a certain amount, a result will happen, whether that's weight loss, weight gain, or whether you stay the same. It's like having an old fashioned set of scales where you try to balance them out. So if you're eating as many calories as you're burning, your weight will stay the same. So if after, let's say, a month of being good, improving your health, trying to diet, if you've got on the scales and your weight is exactly the same, it means you've probably been eating just as much as you've been burning. Now, this is the side that most of us don't want to be on. So if you're eating more calories than you're burning, you will gain weight. Now, the unfortunate truth is that yes, fluctuations can occur, and yes, sometimes you can gain weight on the scales without gaining fat. But if over a period of a month or 2 months you are consistently gaining weight, then you are 100% taking in more calories than you are burning. So you need, if your goal is not to gain weight or to lose weight, then you need to reduce the amount of calories you're taking in or increase the amount of calories you're taking out. For weight loss, you need to burn more calories than you're taking in. Okay, so you can see on these scales, for weight gain, if you gain weight, you'll be taking in more calories than you're burning. For weight loss, you'll be burning more calories than you're taking in. So essentially, you need to eat less and move more, essentially, from a calorie perspective. And for weight gain, you need to eat more and move less from a weight gain perspective, from a calorie perspective. And that is the fundamental law. That can't be changed. And that, if you're someone who after a year or after 6 months feels like they're doing everything right and they can't understand why they've gained weight or not lost weight, it's because these scales are just balanced incorrectly for you and you need to kind of even them out. So one of the biggest challenges that we face, I believe, and especially in recent times, people want to be social. People want to enjoy their weekends. People like to do things with their families on their weekends. People maybe like to be a little bit more relaxed on the weekend. And this is where people can really struggle. So this is what most of your current weeks will look like. Certainly it does for me anyway. You can see where the line is. That is the amount of calories you need to lose weight. Now, what normally happens is Monday to Friday, we're in a routine, we're at work, we're pretty good, we know what we'll have for breakfast, lunch, we've got our evening meals planned, and we can stick to our diet. But when the weekend comes, that's a little bit different. We like to eat a little bit more. We like to eat out. We like to have a few drinks. And the amount of calories you consume is way over how many calories you need to lose weight. So that's what it currently looks like. But there is a really easy fix. So when we talk about energy balance, it's not just in a day. It can be over a week or over a month. So an easy way to fix it, if you are someone who likes to eat more calories at the weekend, is to reduce the amount of calories you eat between Monday and Friday and give yourself more on a Saturday and Sunday. Now, let's just say this example is you. If you need to eat that many to lose weight, Monday to Friday, you need to drop them by a few hundred calories to give yourself that little bit of room on a weekend to eat a little bit more. And this example almost matches perfectly. So for someone who needs 1,800 calories to lose weight, if they were to drop to 1,350 Monday to Friday, they will be able to have 3,000 calories on a Saturday and Sunday and still achieve that calorie target of weight loss. And that's one real quick way to do it, okay? For you, that will look different because everyone's calories are going to be different. But that's one method that we use when we work with people in Fortified 8 and what we try and teach them. Now then, when we talk about your relationship with food, this is a biggie. You need to stop saying good and bad foods. There are no such things as good and bad foods. The moment you start to label foods as good and bad, the moment that, that really becomes a moment where you start to demonize foods. Like there's nothing inherently wrong with the burger. It's essentially a bit of meat and a bit of lettuce and some bread. So essentially some carbs, chips, potato, bit of oil, nothing wrong with them. It's all just food. However, the problem is not about good and bad food. It's about the quantity of food that we have. So it's quite easy to overeat on calorie-dense food. So pizzas, crisps, chocolate, they contain a lot of calories, but they don't take up much room in your plate and your stomach. So they're what we call calorie-dense foods. On the other side, things like salads, vegetables, the things that we find are quite filling, let's just say a plate of chicken, salad, a little bit of sauce, loads of fresh salad. You can make a massive bowl of that for hardly any calories. So this plate here might only be 400 calories, whereas this one here could quite easily be up to 800 or 1,000 calories. And you will probably be more full from this one. But what we do with Fortified Coaching is we don't label them good or bad because that really creates a negative image of what foods can be. And the moment you start to think of foods as bad, when you have some, you automatically feel like you failed. That's why we don't use words like cheat foods. So you've got to stop labeling things as good and bad foods. Instead, we use nutrient dense and calorie dense to describe the kind of makeup of the food that you're eating. So in reality, you should eat a lot of nutrient dense foods, especially if you want to diet, because they're going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. They're going to provide you with nutrients for optimal health, for energy, for performance, for feeling good. Calorie dense foods are going to do the opposite. they will not leave you feeling very full, or if they do, it's because there's a lot of calories in them. You aren't going to be able to fit them into your daily calories every single day if you're trying to lose weight. Um, so there are things that you need to consider. But certainly, labeling foods as good or bad does create a negative image with food, and it does make you more likely to kind of to demonize foods and to throw in the towel when you have something that you feel is a bad food. So we don't do that, and that's an important lesson that we try and teach you. But even calorie dense foods have a part in your diet. So there is more to health than how you look and how you feel. It is also about your social health too. So going out for a meal socially, having a nice sit down family meal that isn't a healthy meal, perhaps, or a nice meal out with your partner or a takeaway, they all play a major role in your overall health. But what we still advise is that most of the time your meals should look like this, and every now and again you can have a meal that looks like this. There is certainly a place in for it. There's no reason why, in moderation, you can't have something like this every week, but you probably can't have a meal every day that looks like that. But the main key message here is to stop labeling foods as good or bad, because there are no foods that are good or bad. Just ones that are higher in calories and ones that are higher in nutrients. Now, finally, moving on. So there will be a task in a moment, but before we move on, I just wanted to cover some common food myths and try and debunk them for you. So the first one we hear a lot is that carbs are bad. We shouldn't eat carbs. There is a big movement towards keto diets at the minute where someone who was following a keto diet wouldn't eat carbs. Now, even if we go as far back as the Atkins diet, carbs were demonized. We shouldn't eat pasta, bread, potatoes. But then on the flip side, we have other diets where you can have really high carbs, like your Slimming Worlds and things. Essentially, no food is bad. That is the main take-home point. Everything in moderation. Carbs are really, really good. When we're trying to keep full and stick to our diet, one of the main things that helps us stick to our diet is being satiated and feelings of being full. So carbs are really good at that because you tend to get, for instance, in potatoes, they'll have a really high food volume. So for the amount of calories in potatoes, they're going to take up a huge space on your plate. So carbs aren't bad. When you're trying to train hard and perform hard, carbs are really good. They're your friend as well because they're going to help give you the energy that you need. They are number one fuel source. So carbs aren't bad. Again, another food myth is that fats are bad. Fats aren't bad either. If carbs are bad and fats are bad, then what do you eat? Just chicken and salad? There's no fun in that and there's no need in it. You need carbs in your diet. You need a certain amount of fats in your diet. It's all about overall health and it's more about portion control. So carbs and fats aren't bad. You could have a diet that was 2,000 calories per day and could be all carbs. Or you could have a diet that's 2,000 calories a day and no carbs, or the same for fats. And the results for your fat loss would be 100% identical. It really doesn't matter. The next food myth then is not to eat too late at night. This comes from the old myth that if you eat after 6 p.m., you won't be able to burn off the energy from those foods. Now, again, this is just a myth. That's not really how your body works. You actually burn most of your calories during the night as well. So you burn a lot of calories during the night. You burn a lot of calories when you're just going about your day-to-day jobs. It really doesn't matter. If you would have 2,000 calories per day to stay the same, and you ate all of them in the morning and didn't eat anything else throughout the rest of the day, or if you had 2,000 calories at midnight and that's all you ate, or if you had 2,000 calories spread across the day, your weight loss results would be the same because it goes back to calories in versus calories out. 2,000 calories a day, or whatever your target is, no matter when you eat it, will still equal that same amount. So don't worry about that. The next one is all about breakfast. There is the myth that you must eat breakfast. Now, you definitely do not have to eat breakfast. A lot of diets don't include breakfast, like the fasting diets. There's the 16-8 diet. A lot of intermittent fasting diets don't have breakfast. There is nothing inherently magic about having your breakfast. It doesn't start off your metabolism. It doesn't kickstart anything. However, where breakfast can be important, and we'll remove breakfast and we'll just say the first meal of the day, because essentially breakfast just means when you break your fast, when you eat after a prolonged period of not eating. But if you go for a long period of eating, without eating, so let's say you've woke up, you've slept for 8 hours, you then go 5 hours without food, the chances are you're going to be really hungry. And when you're really hungry, you make poor food choices. We all do it. I do it. So that's where breakfast can be important, because by starting your day off well, by eating something on the morning, you're probably not going to get to the point where you're starving at lunchtime and reach for anything you can grab. And that's the main take home point there. It's keeping your body feeling fueled and feeling full. Next, you can eat as much pasta, potatoes, etc. as you like. Now, this comes from a lot of the slimming diets or groups you can do. Pasta, potatoes, all of those things, they all contain calories. So you can't just eat as many of them as you like. That is why, if you followed one of those diets, you probably lost a little bit of weight, but then it's kind of slowed down or stopped, or you've even put it back on. When you start any new diet, you're always really motivated. You can cut right down in your portion sizes, so you will reduce all of your portion sizes. But as time goes on, you will get hungry, because that's what happens when you diet. So naturally, you want to fill up on the things that you were allowed unlimited of. So your pastas, your potatoes, all of those sort of things. But they all contain calories. Now, these foods, like I mentioned earlier, but within carbs, they are quite filling. So the reason that you were given unlimited potatoes and pasta and things is because the people who made these diets thought that you wouldn't be able to overeat on them, because they would get you so full. But that's not how dieting works, unfortunately. So yeah, you can't eat as much pasta, potato, and things like that as you'd like. You will still gain weight if you do that. So they are all your food myths unbunked. That is your first video in the series. If you have any questions on that, ask in the group. That's what the group's there for. But before I finish, your first and most important task for this week is to increase the amount of vegetables or salad you are eating this week. So this week, your task for the week is to increase the amount of veg or increase the amount of salad you're having in every meal where possible. And not just that, but we want you to post it in the group. So when you eat a meal, when you've got your salad in, when you've got your veg in, we want to see it. We want to help hold you accountable. So whenever you eat a good meal, full of salad, full of veg, put it in the group. We want to see everyone's photos. We want to keep you accountable. So let's go ahead and make that our first mission of this week. Get as much veg and as much salad in as possible. Right, your next video will be on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. For now, keep your eyes peeled in the group. We're going to talk to you as much as possible. If you have any questions, post them in there, but let's see your food pics.